fans' radio station.
It's time for a new era of Lakers talk on ESPN LA.
What's up, ball knowers? It's your favorite Lakers Southern reporter, Mike Trudell.
Right now.
All right, let's do it. Welcome to a new chapter of Lakers Talk on ESPN LA, your home of Lakers basketball.
It's time for a new era of Lakers talk on ESPN LA.
Lakers Talk now weekly with the one and only Mike Trudell.
1, 2, DJ, let's go.
You see him on Spectrum Sportsnet on the sidelines covering our Lakers. And now you can call in and talk to him every week on ESPN LA.
Mike Trudell giving us all the insight, all the Lakers conversation you can crave. Plus, he's taking your reaction on the phones, on social media, and of course, maybe on that YouTube chat. Jack.
2 hours of talking purple and gold.
The radio home of Mike Trudell is the radio home of Lakers basketball. ESPN LA. Lakers Talk is presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute.
When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. Visit HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com to get the help you need today.
Now live from the epicenter of sports in the Southland, LA Live right across the street from Crypto.com Arena. Here he is, the one and only Mike Trudell.
Welcome to Lakers Talk on this lovely Monday evening in Los Angeles. DeAndre and Funchy are with me in the booth. We're going to have Dave McMenamin joining us in a couple of minutes and Ben Golliver in the second half of the show. Guys, yesterday I was with the baseball team. All right, we had our playoff game, and then after the game we went out for Mexican and had a couple drinks. Eventually it wound up at one of our friends' house back in Hermosa. And I FaceTimed Geeter, because Geeter knows a couple of these gentlemen, and it becomes clear right away that he has completely lost his voice. He can barely get a word out, so I thought, all right, he's going to be on the DL for this one. We will get Geeter back, though, next week. I am confident of that, so hope that he is healing up.
How did he lose his voice? Did he, ghost the concert or something and,
this is,
was screaming or something?
It's a fair question, and this is my guess. His younger daughter, Luca, is currently in nationals for
yes, that's right.
youth volleyball.
That's right.
And I imagine that he's just screaming himself wild. And in fact,
being a former volleyball player himself, right?
Yeah. So that's. In fact, I don't even have to guess that. That's definitely what happened. He lost his voice. Now, maybe I don't even know at this point. I got to text him. I don't know if they won or if they lost. If they won, then maybe some alcohol was involved in this as well. Maybe he got sick. But I think most likely he just completely threw his voice out from screaming on the sidelines. And I've never been to one of these big volleyball conventions like this, Funchy, but my guess is that it's one of the louder places you can be, because there's multiple matches, there's a million girls screaming, celebrating every point, all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. There's like you were saying, there's probably 7 matches going on at one time, dude, in one big gymnasium or something.
Yeah, but this is one time, though, too, where I told Geeter, look, man, don't worry about it. We have so much to talk about. I think I could do 2 hours just on John Morant being traded to Portland.
My God.
I could do 2 hours probably just on Anthony Edwards playing alongside LaMelo Ball.
Don't get it.
Wait, DeAndre, you going to hit the Minnesota for me already? Or I thought, yeah. What? Let me ask you guys this, and I'm gonna start with LeBron actually, and then we'll get into more of that with Dave McMenamin. But what has been the trade or the re-signing or the lack of signing? I'm curious, that has stood out the most to each of you. DeAndre, you go first, my man.
As far as the Lakers pointed,
no, whole league, just
whole
like
league?
Anything kind of, because we used to get super excited for the actual date of free agency. Correct. Because there used to be a ton of free agents, and it was like, where's LeBron going to go in his free agency? And that was all the thing. Now it's like we already have most of the news.
I think because a lot of these players are kind of like restricted, like the bigger names that we would say are restricted. So you kind of have that mindset that like they're not going to be on the move as much as you really want it to be. I feel like there has been a lack of big names, but you don't know because things happen so randomly in the NBA. So we don't know what's going to happen come tomorrow afternoon around 3 o'clock.
Well, the big names, though, are the ones that are moving in trades, right?
Correct.
Like there's no big name free agent, and the restricted free agents that are quote unquote big. Is Walker Kessler really a big name?
No,
not really, right? I mean, ball knowers like you guys are familiar with Walker Kessler and his skill set. I don't think the average NBA fan in New York, right? Like, okay, yeah, the skinny white dude who, actually he's not that skinny. He's kind of solid, but long. They know what he is, but it's not that big of a deal. Peyton Watson, same thing. I don't know if anybody's like, is Denver going to match the offer sheet if somebody gives him one? Anyway, Funchy, any of the storylines in the NBA stand out to you the most?
Probably the Ja Morant getting traded to Portland probably did it for me.
Right.
And the fact that Portland now has like too many guards now.
Yeah, like 4 or 5
coming.
guards.
I feel like something else is coming now.
And not just guards, like guards that need the basketball.
Yeah, exactly.
For the most part. So
Damian Henderson, they got Drew Holiday, Dame.
Yeah.
Sharp.
So Ja going with those guys, and it's not the cleanest fit. So then people are thinking, well, wait a second. Is Portland going to make a run at Jaylen Brown or something?
That's what I'm thinking.
It have some kind of a package, including Drew Holiday, and I don't know if they want to send Holiday and Robert Williams back to Boston. Obviously, those guys came over when they made the original deal. So it's a complicated one for Portland. I get this part of it though. They didn't give anything up. Like, to me, I've always said this about Jeremy Grant. He's like he's a shooting guard in a small forward's body who plays power forward. He loves to shoot the basketball, doesn't rebound a ton. He doesn't defend like he did earlier in his career. Kind of just wants to score. It just hasn't really done anything notable for a couple of years. So I think that the market was so dry for Ja that they literally just took any matching salary that a team was willing to give up that didn't necessarily need those players. So it's kind of a sad trade in that sense.
It was Jeremy Grant and Chris Murray. And by the way, to add on more to that, do you know how many total picks Jaren Jackson Jr. and Desmond Bane went for when they got traded away from the Memphis Grizzlies? Total, combined with both of them.
So, Desmond Bane went for 4 firsts.
Correct.
And Triple J went for 2?
He went for 3.
It was 3.
A total of 7. 7 picks that went out just for those 2, and Ja Morant went out for no picks whatsoever.
And I was there at the absolute peak of that. This version, the kind of the latest version of the grit and grind Grizzlies, like the post Marc Gasol and Tony Allen and all that. And I was in there for that Lakers series. Lakers were the 7 seed, Memphis was the 2 seed, and the Lakers smacked them. And that kind of was sort of the end of the peak. This is the team that everybody's going to have to worry about in the West for a while. And that was the Ja Morant. What was it, Funchy? I'm not worried. I don't have any worries about the West or something like that?
Something like that, yes.
He said, I'm not worried about no one in the Western Conference.
Yeah, something like that,
Crazy.
I remember that.
Yeah, he just...
I made him real quick.
Yeah, what was it? Ja, I'm not worried about the West. I want to know the exact... I'm fine in the West. That's what he said. I think he told Malika Andrews in an interview about that, and then everybody threw that back in his face. I don't have any ill will towards Ja and what's going to come. I do sort of hope that he finds just more of a balance of happiness and competitiveness on the court, and he's able to stay healthy, because he at his peak was a very fun player to watch. There's no doubt about that. He just didn't seem to have any of that joy left in Memphis.
You don't think he's near his peak still?
Well, I mean, he's 26.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So he should be. He just hasn't. He hasn't really been able to stay healthy long enough. I think the stat that I saw, he hasn't played 6 consecutive games in multiple years.
Get out of here.
Yeah,
6 consecutive games.
He has not played more than like 5 straight games. So he just can't stay on the floor. And then some of the time when he was on the court, he wasn't quite at his physical peak, or at least he wasn't at the point where he was willing to attack the rim because he was fearing coming down and doing something else to some part of his leg, or he had a shoulder thing. It's just been all manners of minor injuries for Ja, plus all of the off-the-court stuff, and so that's been kind of sad. That'll be one of the things that we get to later in Lakers talk, but I want to honor what I said earlier in starting here with LeBron James. We just discussed this coming out of DeMarco and Trav, and you guys know this. You've asked me all year, or we've talked about it with each other, and said, "Hey, what do you think is actually going to happen with LeBron?" And I've never been moved off of the position that I think the most natural, the easiest, the most symbiotic, the thing that works best for both sides would be LeBron coming back to the Lakers for maybe a final season, if that is what he decides to have it be his final season, a 24th, which has never been done before, just like the 23rd season has never been done before. I have to acknowledge that I have been swayed just a little bit Now, I still am favoring the Lakers scenario some, and I'm curious what McMenamin thinks about this when we talk to him at 6:30. But Draymond Green actually opting out of his contract, which opens up the Warriors from at least some level of a financial situation to figure out if they can get Anthony Davis there, if they can move Jimmy Butler to Washington, because Jimmy can't come back next year with the ACL, or at least it's going to be a long time until he does come back. And if they can find a slot, whether it's one of the exceptions that they could create, or I mean, if it's just something that's over the vet minimum, if they can find at least close to the money that the Lakers could or would give LeBron, that's the one scenario where I'm kind of thinking to myself, oh, okay, I can see it. I could see him and Steph and AD coming back and Draymond, all friends. Steve Kerr kind of letting the players really lead the charge there. You got all the IQ that you need. Yes, you're old, and it's going to be tough to beat both OKC and San Antonio, but I could at least see it. Whereas I didn't see Cleveland happening. I didn't see somebody mention the Clippers at some point. Don't see that happening. There are all these other scenarios where I just don't see it being a palatable situation. But I had to at least acknowledge that that's something that isn't crazy if you were to go to Golden State. So,
I just out of curiosity, by them giving Kristaps Porzingis that 2-year, $40 million deal, there's reports that the Warriors no longer can give that $15 million taxpayer mid-level exemption to pay out for LeBron James. But I did see some reports that if they were to find a trade suitor, meaning move Jimmy Butler to Washington for Anthony Davis, tag that along with some picks, and they are able to get Moses Moody out of that deal and find a way to trade him, but also have Draymond Green sign the same deal as far as Kristaps Porzingis as well, that they can make that work to still bring in LeBron James, correct?
So that's the right question to ask. I just read this from Anthony Slater, who does a nice job now for ESPN covering the Warriors and as well as the rest of the league. Quote, the Porzingis signing makes the math trickier for the Warriors to clear enough space to offer unrestricted free agent LeBron James the full $15.1 million non-taxpayer mid-level exception, but there remain paths for them to clear enough financial room, particularly given Draymond Green's decision to decline his $27.6 million player option and deliver the Warriors flexibility in the coming days. Green and the Warriors are expected to reunite, team sources said, with his exact contract length, first-year salary, and full contract amount to be determined after the Warriors determine other business. They're still expected to pursue James among other unrestricted free agents once the market opens. And then he goes on to talk about Anthony Davis as that being kind of part of it as well. So that's interesting. Sit on that for a second. We'll explain exactly what that means coming up next on Lakers Talk. DeAndre and Funchie in here helping me out tonight. This is Mike Trudell, and you're listening to 710 ESPN.
It's time for your Valvoline Instant Oil Change Summer of Soccer Update. Here's Mario Ruiz.
History was made for Canada at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. The Canadians are through to the round of 16 for the very first time after a hard-fought 1-0 victory over South Africa yesterday in Inglewood. LAFC midfielder Stefan Eustáquio led the way with a late game-winning goal as Canada continues its dream run. Now the attention shifts to the other two host nations. Mexico returns to the legendary Estadio Azteca tomorrow night at 6 p.m. for a blockbuster round of 32 showdown against Ecuador. And on Wednesday, it's the United States' turn. The U.S. men's national team faces Bosnia and Herzegovina at 5 p.m. in Santa Clara, California, looking to build on an impressive group stage campaign and book its place in the round of 16.
And that's your Valvoline Instant Oil Change Summer of Soccer Update. Valvoline Instant Oil Change, home of the 15-minute drive-through oil change. From kickoff to the final whistle, performance matters. Keep your vehicle running strong. Visit SoCalOilChange.com for a special offer and locations near you.
This summer's biggest football watch party experience is happening at Mercado Gonzalez in Costa Mesa. Catch every Mexico and USA match live, surrounded by non-stop game day energy, passionate fans, drink specials, surprise giveaways, grab fire asada tacos, slow braised quesadilla, fresh ceviches, warm churros, and more while you cheer on your team with the entire Mercado. Mercado Gonzalez, your soccer fan paradise this summer. Join us every Mexico and USA match at Mercado Gonzalez in Costa Mesa, where every match tastes better.
Red Card penalty. Score big flavor with Waba Grill's new Red Card combo for a limited time. A mini sweet and spicy chicken bowl, chili crisp dumplings, and a refreshing penalty punch for a beverage with mango popping boba. An all-star lineup for just $9.99 only at Waba Grill.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Summer's finally here, and we're kicking it off with a whole lot of free. Free brake pads with Duralast rotors. Free oil filter with 5 quarts of oil. Free Armor All wipes with Armor All glass cleaner, and more. More free, so you can have more summer. Celebrate free at AutoZone. Now through July 27th. Restrictions apply.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. If Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea was your best friend, it would be the kind of friend that starts an impromptu dance party in the supermarket aisle that turns into an all-day pool party rager at your place, and you don't even own a pool. Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea turns any day into a legendary adventure. It's smooth and refreshing real iced tea with just the right kick of alcohol. Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Keep it twisted.
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
This is Lakers Talk with Mike Trudell on your home of Lakers basketball, ESPN LA, 710 AM on the all-new ESPN LA app and on YouTube at ESPN Los Angeles.
All right, welcome back to Lakers Talk. My name is Mike Trudell, DeAndre and Funchie alongside. We got McMenamin coming up in about 13 minutes, and then Ben Golliver, ESPN senior national writer, in the second half of the show. You know, guys, we're going over some of the storylines in the NBA. I didn't even bring up the Kawhi Leonard Toronto stuff, which is kind of a crazy story in its own right. I mean, on the one hand, all of the stuff with the aspiration deal and the penalties that are going to ensue, and you've heard some of the national reporters say that the Clippers may not have been able to make a couple of deals because the league almost told them, like, hey, hold on, because we may take away some of your future draft capital, and therefore, right, it makes it like, is another team going to want to deal with them right now if the pick that is sort of agreed to then becomes void? That's complicated, but if you remove that part of it, it's intriguing in the sense that Toronto, all of a sudden, if they give up, let's say, like BI and some other player with a contract and a couple of picks, actually, I don't know that they would have to be a couple of picks, frankly, but for Kawhi, and then you're going with Kawhi and Scotty Barnes defensively, and they've got some other good players there, too. If Barrett stays and Quickly's healthy, and all of a sudden they're kind of interesting. They're at least much more of a pain to beat in the series in the Eastern Conference. So that's yet another thing that is it's not free agency. Okay, that's what's coming up in the next couple of days, but trading and players swapping teams, that's kind of what we're saying now when we're talking about free agency. It's just like the summer of trades and all of that is going to heat up, no doubt.
If Kawhi goes back to Toronto, it's like the last 6 or 7 years here in LA as a Clipper was like a figment of our imagination or something.
Well, I mean, it certainly didn't net any result.
No.
Yeah.
Like that whole Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, era. It was like a figment of our imagination.
Well, I mean, and look, and that's the difference between, I remember at the time, there was a competing storyline as to which team made the better move. But was it the Lakers in getting Anthony Davis after they got LeBron to walk to them as an unrestricted free agent, which to me is the biggest way that you can get to a championship, is having a star actually join you for free. Relative to the Clippers having to give up Shea and all of the picks and everything else to get Paul George and Kawhi. And I've said this before, I'll repeat it before we get back to the LeBron storyline and Golden State versus the Lakers and all that. To me, the LeBron and Anthony Davis pairing was always significantly better than the pairing of Kawhi and Paul George. And while I can acknowledge that they are an all-star duo on the wing, certainly both good defensive players and had a lot going for them, the difference between them and the LeBron-AD combo is that, to me, the most important thing in the NBA remains the rim. And that means getting to the rim on offense. It means protecting the rim on defense. It's the same, DeAndre, when you go play pickup hoops. All right, you play college basketball. I get that threes and pace and space and all that, it's significant, but watch the playoffs. And threes, the open threes, that starts to be petered out a little bit. And at the end of the day, you got to be able to get into the paint. There's a reason why the thing is 10 feet tall. And the players that can protect the rim, again, both LeBron and AD do that. And the players that can get to the rim and finish at the rim, both LeBron and AD do that, relative to Kawhi and Paul George, who are more happy than not to take jumpers. Even if they're good shooters, there's no doubt. But there's not a ton downhill to the rim. from them, and neither one of them protect the rim on defense.
No, everything that they do as far as defensively, perimeter, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George like to get in the passing lanes, like to keep guys in front of the perimeter.
Yeah.
But Kawhi Leonard, his bread and butter is getting into the mid-range, getting into his mid-range spot, one-dribble pull-up. So that is why. That's a lost art now still, is that when you get to the basket, also it creates getting to the free throw line. And more, when you get to the free throw line, you're able to knock down, all of a sudden the tempo kind of slows down into your favor. So, I agree.
And there's one other element. You just kind of queued me up on this. When you're getting downhill and getting to the basket, the other thing that it opens up is the pass. And neither Kawhi Leonard or Paul George is great as a creator. LeBron James obviously is. And I would say the same about Luka Doncic. I would say the same about Austin Reaves, who maybe not in the caliber of a Kawhi and a Paul George, certainly not on the defensive end, or just even, I would say equivalent, closer to Paul George as an overall scorer and creator. Like, he basically averaged 25, and that's especially once LeBron kind of settled back into that third offensive role. But Reaves is better at getting downhill and spraying the basketball out than a Paul George, who likes it. Paul George and Kawhi, their game's a little bit more like a Carmelo Anthony. Great scores, no doubt, but ultimately, and by the way, Kevin Durant is the best of this breed. But I would much rather have the LeBron, that type of breed, to create the Luka LeBron, like, who's either creating for himself or for a teammate. And I just think that the pure scorer lacks a little bit of that type of creation, and that's part of what I think ailed the Clippers all those years.
By the way, you brought up Kevin Durant. We've seen it with our own eyes in that Houston Rockets series of Kevin Durant trying to be the ball handler and also the scorer. When Lakers started throwing double teams at him, his facilitating all of a sudden went out the window. Didn't know how to really manage a double team. Didn't know how to really get to his spots anymore. So, yeah, Kevin Durant being that guy, no, can't rely on him to be your ball handler as well.
That's right. And so even to this day, now Kevin Durant is younger than LeBron James, but I think LeBron is still better. I just do. I think we saw that in that playoff series, and I think that going into next year, I would absolutely rather have LeBron James than Kevin Durant. I'm sure that the Warriors feel the same way. Now, they had a great run with Kevin Durant, but that was kind of what they had with their team at that time. And again, they had already won 2 championships. They had a complete team, a complete system. And just by putting that additional scoring piece, that scoring threat on the floor, it made it overwhelming. I would say the same for the Toronto team that Kawhi Leonard joined when they won the championship, albeit because of injuries to Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson. But they did win the championship. You can't take it away from them. That was a ready-made team. They played a certain way, and then Kawhi could just be Kawhi. Kawhi didn't have to lead them. He didn't have to set up his teammates. Like, Kawhi, what we want you to do, get to your spot, dot the jumper, and then go guard on the other end. That was what he was responsible for doing. If LeBron James now, coming into next year 24, after what we saw in this most recent postseason, I still think that he can kind of do everything. He can't do it at the absolute peak level night to night that a Luka or a Shea or a Jokic can, and how could he at age 41? But he can still do it enough, and if you give him ample support, and I do think that if Steph Curry's out there, if Draymond and his intelligence is out there, if you do end up getting Anthony Davis to go with the Porzingis, who, by the way, massive question in terms of how many games he'll play. He's had this mysterious illness that still doesn't seem to be completely resolved. I don't even want to get to, I'm trying to think of how many games he missed. I was reading in that same article. He only played 15 games once he was acquired by the Warriors. He was limited to 32 games total with the Warriors and the Hawks last season, and then 42 games with Boston the season before. So that's part of why I think they do need Anthony Davis.
And they got Al Horford too.
But they have Horford, and Horford, can still be an effective player, but he's about the only guy in the league that's younger than LeBron.
Exactly.
I think he might literally be maybe Funchi, you can look that up for it, but I think he might literally be like number 2 or at least maybe number 5 or something on the list. Like, he has been around for a long time now. Think about his fallen Gators. How long has it been since Joakim Noah was in the league?
Oh, man, it's been a while.
How about my guy Corey Brewer?
That's another one that's been a while,
right?
Man.
That's who we came into the league with. And he's still out here kicking.
Is Garrett Temple still in the league?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So now,
but Garrett Temple not really playing. He was kind of like so I don't really consider him to count
like on that. He's on like that Udonis Haslem type role right now.
He's on for the Raptors. He's kind of like
out the league. With Chris Paul out the league, Al Horford is 5th oldest in the league.
Okay, so I think is that what I said? I said 5th. I think I started with second, but
it goes LeBron, Taj Gibson.
Oh, yeah, because they brought Taj back to be like
Kyle
the
Lowry.
So I'm not counting Taj.
Kyle Lowry, who was on the roster last year, Garrett Temple, and then Al Horford.
Okay, and I don't know I don't think Kyle Lowry is going to be on the roster.
Oh, no, he's
next year.
No.
So
Kyle Lowry didn't play last year.
So, all right, so technically Horford 5th, but he's going to be 2nd next year. He's going to be the 2nd oldest guy in the league. All right. All of that together just leads me to believe that if you've got that level of the veteran, at least know-how around you, you got to have a couple of more of the young athlete types to get you through the regular season. Who can do that for the Warriors? Brandon Pajemski can do a little bit of that. Gary Payton, sure, he's got the athleticism, he's got the defensive chops. Obviously, Jonathan Kuminga is gone. That was the guy that they were going to have do part of that job, and they couldn't really figure that out.
And what's up with Atlanta declining his option and making him a free agent?
Yeah, I just think that they took a shot on him last year, and they gave him he had I think it was like the first game against the Knicks where it was like, oh, okay, I can see you playing pretty well. And then by the end of the series, he wasn't playing. You know, so the same issues that I think Golden State ultimately had with him. But let's table that. I don't know about this show for sure. I do think that there's still something interesting there, but I could understand why teams would be a little bit cautious after what experience. Like, he got to a new site, a new team. They didn't really want to put him in. And that doesn't speak super well, the fact that they didn't want to retain him, unless they come up with a different kind of deal. I was going through the rest of the roster, though. I mean, you've got, like, Guy Santos, they gave an extension to last year. He's the kind of innings eater, I guess. Pat Spencer, a type like that. But that's about it. Charles Bassey. Like, so they're the old guys in Golden State, one last hurrah. It would be interesting to watch. But do we really think that that's what LeBron James is going to do?
They still have DeAnthony Melton? Or
DeAnthony Melton. Yeah, Melton's still there. I don't know.
But he's a free agent, I believe.
His let's see, he made $3 million last year. Is Melton a free agent? Let's double check on that. DeAnthony, I think he might have one more year left.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll get that to you as we come back from the break. And by the way, looking forward to this side of the break because nobody better to talk to about this very issue. Okay, how seriously are we taking the Golden State thing versus the likelihood of LeBron returning to the Lakers? We're going to get to that and more with our guy Dave McMenamin coming up next on Lakers Talk, ESPN.
Mornings in LA start with Sedano and Cap.
On this day in 1997, Mike Tyson bit Vander Holyfield's ear.
Oh, yeah.
The third round of their heavyweight rematch.
I was there that night.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Weekdays starting at 7 a.m. on ESPN LA.
Let me tell you something. Hey, Berg, you'll love this. Here comes a reference. Me and JT the Brick were there that night.
That guy. He wasn't. Chris isn't here, Dave.
I know, but we don't need it. I know, but that's who I was there with that night. And I never forget, man. He bit that ear off, and like we ran back to the media outlet center behind where was it? Maybe MGM Grand Garden. Does that sound right?
Probably.
And we couldn't wait to hear what was going to happen afterwards. So yeah, 1997.
What did it sound like, Cap? No, I mean, like, what'd he say?
Oh, that part. That was the aftermath.
You thought the biting of the ear?
Right. The biting of the ear sounded like this, Lindsay.
Ew.
Yeah.
The Morning Show with Sedano and Cap. Weekdays starting at 7 a.m. on ESPN Los Angeles.
Get as loud as you can for Monster Jam!
The one and only Monster Jam. Packed with stunts, smiles, and jaw-dropping skills. See the world's best drivers tear up the dirt in your favorite Monster Jam trucks. Like Gravedigger, El Toro Loco, Sparkle Smash, and more. Only at Monster Jam. Coming to Crypto.com Arena July 17th through 19th. Brought to you by BKD Tires and O'Reilly Auto Parts. Visit MonsterJam.com today.
Your ambition just met its match with Robinhood. You play for the win, not just on game day, every day. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control, all on one platform. You expect more from yourself. Expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move.
I'm David Ortiz. When I lost my mom, she was only 46. And I lost my dad to cancer. It was the worst pain I ever felt. It made me think, what will happen with the people I love when my time is up? That's why I have life insurance. Ethos makes it easy. It's all online, take about 10 minutes, and you can get up to $3 million in coverage.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/game. That's ethos.com/game. Paid testimonial. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
This is Lakers Talk with Mike Trudell on your home of Lakers basketball, ESPN LA, 710 AM on the all-new ESPN LA app and on YouTube at ESPN Los Angeles.
Oh, I have a really hard time interrupting this track. I mean, Hail Mary, Tupac. I think it's one that Dave McMenamin would be proud to have intro him onto Lakers Talk with yours truly, Mike Trudell. What's happening, Dave?
Hey, not a whole lot. Mike, I remember, was it Matt Barnes when he played for the Lakers that you guys had a bit of a rapport over shared Tupac listening?
There's no doubt about that. He's not the only one. I think that was Dave.
Yeah.
Like, I'm thinking back to 25-year-old me, or let's see. I guess I was 24 when I started with the Timberwolves. I think I was 26 when I started with the Lakers. I think hip hop was the thing that was probably my go-to move in trying to find something to relate to the players about. There's no doubt. In fact, the first time that I found kind of common currency with Kobe, we were in an elevator in some city. I can't remember where we were. And he had headphones on. And do you remember that was the year that he basically exclusively listened to Jay-Z? I think he just decided that was like his mindset. And I had heard it, and it was he was listening to the Black album. And I think the track might have been, it was a lesser known one. It might have been Justify My Thug or something like that. And so I usually in the elevator, especially with Kobe, you kind of just, I didn't know him that well yet. I just asked him a couple of questions here and there after practice. And I think I said something like that. I was like, oh, Black album. Justify My Thug. And he kind of gave me like how Kobe would give you kind of like the eye of at least a little bit of approval, like, okay. It's like, all right, I'm a little bit more familiar with your game. So yeah, that was a good one for me. Did you have that same thing? Did you have a couple of hip hop artists or anything like that you used to try to relate to players with?
Musical taste wasn't my connection with Kobe. Actually, I wore a pair of Air Max 95s one day to practice, and he stopped me in my tracks to compliment my sneakers. That was an early connection I had.
That's so strong.
Obviously, he's a Nike pitch man, so he could have been just doing the whole businessman thing.
Well, you had the Philly thing too, though, right? Yeah.
And the Philly thing, yeah. Kobe, we had a couple Venn diagram circles that were connecting.
All right. Well, look, another Venn diagram between the two of us obviously would be covering LeBron James, and the most recent story. And this just if this adds a layer to it, I'm curious what you think about this. But Kristaps Porzingis, yes, he agrees to the 2-year, $40 million deal. But the more interesting part to me, Dave, was Draymond opting out of his deal, and presumably this is kind of brought up in concert with the story that maybe this is all in line of the thinking of, can they get Jimmy Butler to Washington? Can they get AD? Can they kind of entice LeBron to sign on to that type of a squad? What's the latest that you know about that?
Yeah, great question. I mean, the latest is, kind of similar, at least my reporting, what I've had is similar to what I've been reporting since late last week, is that there still hasn't been, to my knowledge, a whole lot of communication between LeBron James's camp and the Lakers. Now, I do know that late in the day there was some sort of communication established. I don't know the extent of it. I don't know if it's ongoing. I don't know if it was an agreement to continue it on, but I do know that the Lakers did reach out to LeBron James's camp sometime this afternoon. And obviously, one would think that scenario would be part of that discussion. Because, listen, the Lakers, and I reported this on ESPN, the Lakers reached out to LeBron's camp early on in the offseason to just touch base and say, hey, we have interest in continuing this partnership, but we want to give your guys space. Obviously, we heard his comments coming off that second-round exit to OKC that he needs to kind of consider everything and make a family decision about his future. Cool.
Right. Yeah.
Then fast forward to late last week, there was no further communication. And, one would think that the next term of engagement would be LeBron James's representative, Rich Paul, telling the Lakers that LeBron does indeed decide to play, because that's an important part of information needed to then have a conversation about the nitty-gritty. So we're going to see where things stand. I can tell you that LeBron James is back in Akron, Ohio right now. I can tell you that the Lakers, even with the moves that have been reported thus far, with Austin Reaves coming to an agreement last week and with DeAndre Ayton opting into his deal, the Lakers can still offer a heck of a lot more money than the Golden State Warriors can to LeBron James to have him stay. And, if I'm the Lakers, if LeBron wants to leave, then, I don't think the Lakers are going to step in front of him. I think it's been pretty clear that they want to honor LeBron and have LeBron do whatever he wants to do. But if I'm the Lakers and there's an inkling that LeBron wants to stay, I just think that's a much better option than the unrestricted free agents that are currently on the market that you would go to try to pursue if LeBron was to leave.
I think that's a good way to sum it up. I mean, we were just talking about this to start the show. There's a lot of news around the NBA, but all of the interesting stuff is more about the unexpected trades or the ones that haven't happened yet, like, Kawhi in Toronto, or the ones that have happened, John Morant going to Portland and LaMelo going to Minnesota, and all of the waves of kind of information that we get behind that. As far as LeBron, the one thing that I acknowledge, though, Dave, and because I think we've been basically on the same page throughout the whole season, I haven't really been persuaded away from the Lakers and LeBron returning being the most symbiotic. But I do have to acknowledge that just the scenario with Draymond opting out and AD's name mentioned, that at least to me seems palatable, regardless of the financial part of it. And that's the part that I don't have any inkling about whatsoever. Like you hear that, Golden State and could they get to the 15 million taxpayer thing by certain machinations, and then what would that number stack up to relative to what the Lakers could offer? All of that, but that's the only one that I've at least had my eyebrow up a little bit about.
Yeah, I mean, certainly it's worth the conversation and discussion of all days. It's today, right? And again, there's some big question marks around it. There is the question mark of why would Washington be interested in that in the first place? And there's also the question mark of would the Golden State Warriors be interested in offering an extension to Anthony Davis? I've reported that at this juncture in his career, that's a very important thing for him to be able to secure and to be able to find some stability after a pretty rocky last two seasons after the trade to Dallas. And so those are two major question marks that would have to be addressed before you even get into what money would be there for LeBron, or could they still open up the taxpayer mid-level after they re-sign or intend to re-sign Kristaps Porzingis. The Anthony Melton would have to turn down a player option. I think Moses Moody would have to be moved. Some things would have to occur. So there's a lot of dominoes there. If you just want to talk about it like the concept of it, it's cool. I mean, three of those guys won a gold medal together in Paris with Steve Kerr as their coach. And obviously Draymond Green, we know, is fiercely competitor he is with LeBron. Like, that's one of LeBron's closest friends in the league, in his time in the league. And so, yeah, that's a cool scenario. And, it's a quick flight up the coast, and you're not uprooting your family life to the extent you would be if you go to Cleveland or Miami or something like that, one of the other scenarios that are out there. But again, those are still some major dominoes to fall. And I just keep coming back to, I saw a Lakers team go 15-2 and not have a chance to see what they could do in the playoffs because of some unfortunate injury luck. And you already got two of those three main characters on that team locked up for next year. And why not get the third?
Yeah, no, I understand that for sure. DeAnthony Melton, I believe, Funchy found this earlier. I think he's turning down his player option to become a free agent. That doesn't mean that he couldn't come back to Golden State. Moody, I think, is owed $12.5 this year and then $13.4 next year. Draymond is not on their books yet, but yeah, a lot of things to come in these next couple of days as far as the Golden State thing. A couple other things, Dave, that I know you've been reporting on. You did a couple of reports on Jalen Duren and a report on Nick Smith and declining next season's option. The Duren thing, correct me if I'm wrong, the way you put it was like, yes, there's some interest on that side, but it doesn't sound like Detroit is too keen to part ways with him.
Yeah, I mean, I've had multiple team sources tell me that thus far there's no interest on Detroit's part, certainly for facilitating a sign and trade. Now, they can't stop him from going out and getting another team to offer him a deal. But again, Duren will, because he's a restricted free agent, Detroit will have the chance to match. And, obviously he was a huge part of that team's success. 60 wins, number one team in the East. Yes, they lost in the second round of the playoffs, and he didn't have the best postseason. And to me, that's probably why the initial offer or the wherever things stand in negotiations right now for Duren and Detroit are not so great that he is now interested in seeing if there's an outside offer. But let's not forget, free agency, or restricted free agency, I should say, is put in place so you don't lose a guy. So
they're not just.
I still would be very surprised if he was. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right, Dave. You've also, of course, you watch everybody else play too. Anything that's kind of piqued your interest the most? Like, is it LaMelo going to Minnesota? Is it Ja going to Portland? Is there something that you just, as somebody that covers the whole league, has made you do a little bit of a double take? And if there are any Laker implications, great. But what's the thing that you've been thinking about the most here?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll start with, and a team that obviously near and dear to your heart with your roots. The Minnesota move is really surprising. It could be super exciting, and it could be kind of fraught with, one ball and two superstars and not enough defense, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and maybe pull apart the momentum that the Wolves have been building over the last couple of years. That's the one that's the most fascinating to me. I literally can't wait to see what that team looks like and how they play together. And I think the other one that has intrigued me as well is kind of a subsequent move for the Hornets after trading LaMelo was Bridges going to Phoenix. And I know they gave up two players that got playing time in Royce O'Neal and Grayson Allen in order to get that trade done. But, they figure that they're going to get Jalen Green healthy this year. He missed a lot of time. Dylan Brooks missed a lot of time. So they'll be fighting for minutes anyway. And obviously I'm a big fan of what Jordan Knott's done with that team thus far. And I think Bridges is a really tough two-way player. Quite frankly, he was someone that I would have interest in the Lakers pursuing, if, let's say Rui Hachimura signed somewhere else. That would have been a player that could have helped the Lakers.
By the way, though, an unprotected first is a lot, though, I think, to give up for Bridges.
Yeah, that's fair, but I think he's it might be market value. I mean, the guy played great winning basketball on both ends last year, and I mean, we're all aware of the off-court stuff. That's part of the deal here, but just to talk about him as a basketball player, that's one that's interesting to me.
Gotcha. All right. I'll have one thought for you on the whole Minnesota thing, and then I want to get to actually have a World Cup question for you. So with Minnesota's making this move, to me, it almost seems like they did the whole Rudy Gobert thing to try and figure out how to best match up with Denver, at least at the team that they thought was going to be at the top of the West. And I still to this day think they probably gave up a couple of extra picks, too many. But you can't argue with the results. Like, they did get to the conference finals twice. They have been a consistent winner now for multiple years, which was almost never the case, barring for like 1 or 2 KG years. And now it almost seems like they're looking at, okay, San Antonio is going to be a certain way for the next several years. Oklahoma City is going to be there in a certain way. We don't know yet about the Lakers. The Lakers are kind of lurking depending on what they're able to pull off around Luka. But with those two teams, you have to have a certain level of creation. And they saw what's still relatively a low cost, depending on how you feel about all the swaps. And that stuff is, by the way, Dave, becomes so complicated that I'm almost going to need like a separate Excel spreadsheet to see who has whose swap and which ones then you can cross off. But they only give up the one first. Now, they basically do give up Julius Randle, in a sense, to be able to make that happen, and that's significant. Like, I know you and I are both fond of his game for the most part, right? Sure, it's gonna struggle a little bit when he's trying to go to the rim against Wemby in that matchup, but all things being equal, like they do now have this multiple creation sort of. They can play three guards who all are at least big and can defend up some. Maybe LaMelo doesn't, but like to me that I was not one to kind of criticize that, even with all LaMelo's injury risks and all that. Like I think the Wolves know what they're doing, and I'm curious to see kind of how that looks. So I'm not giving it an A+, but I'm closer to like a B+ when I saw some people are giving it a D.
Yeah, I respect my colleagues at ESPN.com, and I would not want to be on the hook to do a grade and explain it for every single deal throughout the season. So Zach Cram does a wonderful job with that. But I didn't have the instinct that it was a failure on the Wolves' part. I do think there's some potential for volatility there, just because we've seen the ups and downs that LaMelo's had, and even just talking about staying healthy. But they'll be able to score. You saw what DeSumo did in the playoffs, and I think that gave them the confidence to be able to move off of Randall, saying that there's room for growth there. And, I don't know. I like the group that they have there. I'm a believer in Chris Finch. Yep. And, it's going to be interesting to see them.
All right, so World Cup-wise, Dave, here's my question for you. So Ireland not in this World Cup, unfortunately. I wonder if you tap into if there are other countries of lineage for you. Like in my case, long time, like my family all came over to the States a long time ago, but I've got French and English and German and Irish relatives, or relative ancestors. So I'm kind of like, I've ultimately settled more. I'm like, I can't have 4 national teams, right, that I root for if they're not playing the U.S. I ultimately kind of settled between England and France because I follow Manchester United, so there's a lot of French players of Manchester United lineage, and also with the name Trudell is French, so I kind of have these two options. Then I feel a little bit spread thin. It can be tough out here when you have multiple jerseys and multiple teams because I don't love people that get to hop around. That's my long way of asking you, whom do you root for outside of the U.S.? Do you pick a team? Do you go into lineage? What is your World Cup viewing system like?
Yeah, so the majority of my lineage that I'm aware of is Irish. I do have a Ukrainian side, my mom's side of the family. I don't believe they're in it, so I don't think I'm missing. If they are, I apologize, but I don't think they are, especially what's going on over in Ukraine. But U.S., I guess I'd root for, like, if I catch Canada on a game, or like I was watching. Was it Brazil and Japan today? I was rooting for Japan. It's just like going underdog. And so, I guess it's just kind of go underdog. There's no kind of standard. Ireland, obviously, I remember vividly when I was a kid and Ireland won a World Cup game, and my dad was so into it. It was probably 94 maybe that they won a game, and it was the first time they won a World Cup game in forever. So, for sure I root for them when there's an opportunity to. But, just go North America. So, Canada and the U.S.
Okay, all right, that's fair. I mean, we are missing out by not having the Irish fans, and not just the Irish fans, but just the millions of American Irish that would have come out and had more to drink than most other countries, say for, I don't know, maybe Scotland. Brazilians like to get after it. Anyway, Dave, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming on as always, and we appreciate your insights. I'm sure we can follow you very closely on X over the course of the next couple of days, and I'm sure you'll be popping on various other ESPN channels to share all of the news that's coming.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Mike.
All right. Appreciate you, Dave. Dave McMenamin, always terrific, and we enjoy hearing from Dave. All right, DeAndre Funchie, we have another NBA expert coming on in the next hour, Ben Golliver, so we'll be excited to hear some more of the national storylines. And I want to dig in a little bit deeper on a couple of the other reported trades that might be coming when we get back on Lakers Talk around the other end. Stay with us, ESPN LA.
Hey, it's DFAR. Listen to my show all this week for your chance to win VIP tickets to the second annual Whiskey and Wings Festival at Pechanga Resort Casino on Saturday, July 11th. Just listen to my show from 3 to 6 for the Whiskey and Wings Sounder, and when you hear it, be caller number 7. That's it. Answer the question about what happened earlier on the show correctly, and you win. The Whiskey and Wings Festival giveaway on the DeMarco and Travis Afternoon Show from Pechanga Resort Casino and ESPN LA.
This summer's biggest football watch party experience is happening at Mercado Gonzalez in Costa Mesa. Catch every Mexico and USA match live, surrounded by non-stop game day energy, passionate fans, drink specials, surprise giveaways, grab fire asada tacos, slow braised quesadilla, fresh ceviches, warm churros, and more while you cheer on your team with the entire Mercado. Mercado Gonzalez, your soccer fan paradise this summer. Join us every Mexico and USA match at Mercado Gonzalez in Costa Mesa, where every match tastes better.
Hyundai gives you America's best warranty on every new vehicle. It includes a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty, plus 24/7 roadside assistance. That's peace of mind from Hyundai. And these days, that's priceless.
Right now, for a limited time, lease a Hyundai Elantra for $199 a month or get $2,000 bonus cash. See your SoCal Hyundai dealer. Hurry, offers end July 6th. Call 714-568-7676 for details.
Red card penalty. Score big with Waba Grill's new red card combo for a limited time. A mini sweet and spicy chicken bowl, 3-piece chili crisp dumplings, and a side of Wablaze sauce for that extra heat. Then kick it up a notch with our new penalty punch, a premium beverage loaded with sweet mango popping boba. It's a flavor finish that hits the back of the neck. Get the red card combo for $9.99. Only at Waba Grill.
Good Karma Brands is proud to be an equal opportunity employer, providing equal employment, development, and advancement opportunities to all teammates and applicants. To learn more about careers with us, please send an email to talentacquisition@goodkarmabrands.com. That's talentacquisition@goodkarmabrands.com.
This is Lakers Talk with Mike Trudell on your home of Lakers basketball, ESPN LA, 710 AM on the all-new ESPN LA app and on YouTube at ESPN Los Angeles.
Well, look, you might be used to hearing 90s hip-hop when we come back on Lakers Talk, just as was the case back in the Thompson Trudell days. But this song right here is my 5-year-old's favorite at the moment. He gets on different jams, and you never know what's going to hit him in the right way. He's been kind of largely between Justin Bieber and One Direction lately. Those have been two of his primary artists that he's been appreciating, but Charlie, is it Puth or Puth?
I think it's Puth. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's Charlie Puth featuring Dan and Shay. My wife is a fan of them as a kind of like a country duo, but they're more poppy than the typical country artist.
I'm not too familiar with the Charlie Puth.
I'll be honest with you. Well,
Charlie,
you know him from like the Fast and the Furious
that's
one.
I was going to say that song.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah, the one when like after Paul Walker dies.
Yes.
Yeah, with Wiz Khalifa.
And then here's another song I think is it Tension? I think that's another one. If I play you, probably. If I play you, no.
That sounds right. Anyway, so shout out to Riggs who wanted to hear that one as a rejoin. We might switch it up once in a while. You never know. I might come out with like a 60s theme Lakers Talk songs. But for the rest of the show, you'll probably get back to 90s hip hop. Anyway, one more note before we get back into NBA free agency and what to expect. So I stopped at Chick-fil-A on the way in today, and sometimes if I know that I have plenty of time, then I may pull aside.
Let me guess what your favorite sauce is.
Oh, please do. Because it's on my shorts right now, which is what we're going to talk about.
I actually know what type of sauce you like from Chick-fil-A.
Oh, well, all right, let Funchy guess
Chick-fil-A
first.
sauce.
Okay, incorrect. I don't mind Chick-fil-A sauce, but it's got I'm not much into the mayo, and that's got a little,
that's right. That's
a little hint of the mayo in it, although it's good overall.
Polynesian?
That is not the one. So Polynesian is my number 2.
Okay, all right.
That's my number 2.
I was going to say Polynesian, yeah.
That's my number 2. My number 1 is the Buffalo.
Oh, okay.
Now, I was born in Buffalo, New York, but I love the Buffalo sauce just in general. Now, I like it a little spicy, if possible, but here's what happened. So I get the spicy chicken sandwich with Polynesian and buffalo.
Oof.
And then I open the buffalo sauce, and with the Chick-fil-A canister, the little containers, it's hard to keep those things from dripping somewhere.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I apply a heavy portion, but not as much as I would if I were home and had a plate.
Mm-hmm.
And because I know I'm going to be eating in the car,
Mm-hmm.
and I have white shorts on, so I laid out the napkins a certain way. I honestly thought about bringing like a beach towel or something, just because I figured it's very hard not to spill in this context. And I'm on I'm driving on the 110 and the 105, not to get too California on you. And so I figured there's a high risk of the spill, but I'm hungry, and I don't want, by the time I get down here, it would have gotten too cold for me to still enjoy it at the same level. And then I don't even know, I'm solo today, so I don't know if I would have had time to go heat it up. So I take the risk, and I'm like, you can do this, Trudell. You can do this. And by the way, I also opened the Polynesian so I can dip the fries in there. And literally 40 seconds into my drive, after I set the right amount of sauce onto the chicken sandwich, a little drip, because you can't really look down while you're eating in traffic. It's not safe. I know Cappy probably does it.
Well, probably. Yeah.
Clearly not a safe driver. So almost immediately I get the big orange buffalo stain right in the middle of my pants. Now, stains bother me, DeAndre, because I'm just not great at getting them out. And my wife is, but then she has to deal with so many stains from my kids that I feel bad adding to the stain pile. Bunch, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but don't you have a napkin over your lap?
I had 4 napkins over my lap.
Oh,
that's
man.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it still happened to fall right in the precise spot that wasn't covered by the napkin, which produced even more anger from yours truly. Okay, back to basketball. I don't think that the Andrew Wiggins story is too big, like him going back to Miami. That had to happen. I like that fit in the front court. Really good three-point shooter alongside Giannis coming in with Bam. They couldn't afford to let him go. The number isn't too high. Like I thought that was one that I just got, makes sense. The one that I'm still kind of struggling with, and we alluded to this earlier in the show, I want to get back to the Ja Morant trade, though. Because what is Portland ultimately trying to do with this? Are they thinking this is just a classic buy low? It's a new market. It's a completely new scenario. You can't get much different or much farther away. In fact, you literally can't get farther away from Memphis than Portland. It's at least until Seattle returns, and then that would be slightly farther. But it is the furthest away. He'll have a completely fresh start. But he's going into a spot that has more point guard play than most teams. Dame Lillard sat out last season, except for the three-point contest, where he came back and still looked like Dame. And they took Scoot Henderson second overall a couple of years ago, and I thought he started to look better. I don't think many people even watched Portland last year, and they probably didn't realize that Scoot showed some signs after struggling by being the guy taken right after Wemby. But he started to show some signs. So how are you going to keep developing Scoot, let Ja have a real chance to kind of re-establish himself as an all-star level player, and then also play Damian Lillard coming off an injury? And that's not to mention Drew Holiday, who can be a point guard, is kind of an off guard. Frankly, he plays like a wing half the time. He's a little bit more like Marcus Smart in that sense, where they can defend up, they're big. So I'm not exactly sure what to make of why Portland made that move, other than to say that let's just take the shot. We're not giving up anything, and it's at least going to be interesting. And that's probably the best that I can say.
It's crazy because when I think of Damian Lillard, I think of that duo we had when he was with Portland with C.J. McCollum, meaning that like C.J. McCollum's a guy that got a little more wiggle, can get off his dribble.
So I'm making hit. DeAndre's like, what are you doing? I'm trying to. So DeAndre can only see about half of my body through the window. I'm trying to do the too small, but I had to do it. But I had to do it up high. Yeah. And you're like, what are you doing with your hands?
I'm like, what's going on here?
No, I was trying to give him the too small because that backcourt was too small.
It was too small, yes, but. I mean,
they're smaller.
Yeah, and they won some playoff series with that duo between C.J. McCollum and Damian Lillard. But the difference is when you add in Ja Morant, he's not a shooter. He's not a guy that can space the floor out. Everything with Ja Morant is downhill, getting to the basket. So I'm interested to see how that's going to work alongside Damian Lillard.
All right. Well, all of that is to say, how does Portland now stack up differently, if at all, in the Western Conference? Is this a team that the Lakers have to kind of look over the shoulder at now by adding the talent level of Ja Morant? Last year, Portland was 42-40, despite being banged up for much of the season. The Lakers, again, were 53-29, despite being probably even more banged up than Portland. Are they still pretty clearly in the rearview mirror?
By the way, you didn't mention Denny Avdia.
Denny Avdia, of course, is still their best player and is the guy. Now, some people might say, well, you think Denny Avdia is better than Ja? Yes, I do. I think he showed that pretty clearly. He got All-NBA contention or consideration for last year. But that's a little bit tricky, too. So where do we see the Lakers falling now that we know a little bit more what Phoenix is going to look like? They've made a couple of trades. Portland just made this big move. What do we think of the Clippers and Kawhi Leonard's situation? How about the Houston Rockets? What if Marcus Smart ends up going there, as some reports have? So who are the teams that are clearly ahead of the Lakers? Who are the ones that are right there with them? Who are the teams that are behind them? We'll get into that coming back. This is Lakers Talk with Mike Trudell, ESPN LA.
It's time for your Valvoline Instant Oil Change Summer of Soccer Update. Here's Mario Ruiz.
History was made for Canada at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. The Canadians are through to the round of 16 for the very first time after a hard-fought 1-0 victory over South Africa yesterday in Inglewood. LAFC midfielder Stefan Eustáquio led the way with a late game-winning goal as Canada continues its dream run. Now the attention shifts to the other two host nations. Mexico returns to the legendary Estadio Azteca tomorrow night at 6 p.m. for a blockbuster round of 32 showdown against Ecuador. And on Wednesday, it's the United States' turn. The U.S. men's national team faces Bosnia and Herzegovina at 5 p.m. in Santa Clara, California, looking to build on an impressive group stage campaign and book its place in the round of 16.
And that's your Valvoline Instant Oil Change Summer of Soccer Update. Valvoline Instant Oil Change, home of the 15-minute drive-through oil change. From kickoff to the final whistle, performance matters. Keep your vehicle running strong. Visit SoCalOilChange.com for a special offer and locations near you.
Skechers elite athlete OG Anunoby has been making history on the basketball court.
Anunoby tips it in. Unbelievable. What a shot.
He's been balling out in Skechers high-performance basketball sneakers, and the world is noticed. But how does OG train off the court to keep in peak physical condition? Hands-free Skechers Slip-ins Aeroburst. They help prepare OG for the physical demands of playing at a championship level. Get your pair of Aeroburst for only $165 at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever high-performance running shoes are sold.
Rich Eisen here with some advice. If high-interest credit card debt is grinding you down, it might be time to call an audible with a SoFi personal loan. It consolidates your debt into one low monthly payment with no fees required. And with as soon as the same-day funding, you can make the right play fast. Call an audible on your debt today at SoFi.com/debtplay. Loans originated by SoFi Bank N.A., member FDIC. Terms and conditions apply. NMLS 696891. Fast funds terms apply at SoFi.com/debtplay.
710 ESPN, your home for the 17-time world champion Lakers.
KSPN Los Angeles, a Good Karma Brands radio station.
This is Lakers Talk with Mike Trudell on your home of Lakers basketball. ESPN LA, 710 AM on the all-new ESPN LA app and on YouTube at ESPN Los Angeles.
Welcome back to Lakers Talk. If you listened last week, I still had my mustache at that point. I had to shave it after our team lost. So actually, before my kids' baseball team, Mount Hermosa, were in the Little League playoffs. And I had to shave the mustache the day before because I had to go interview Cameron Carr, the latest Lakers draft pick. And I just thought it would be like, I don't know, a little weird or unprofessional if I came in there with this ugly looking mustache, and that was like the first thing, and he was like, what's this dude all about?
Think you would have just been staring at him?
I don't want to distract him, I'm trying to remain professional here. And then I had to do the studio show the next day, so I'm like, no, I'm not. Sorry, guys, it has to go. So anyway, we end up playing El Segundo, and it's double elimination. We had beaten Manhattan Beach a couple days before to get to this game, and we're tied, or we're up 2-1. Going into the fifth inning, the bottom half of the fifth inning. And a kid from El Segundo gets up and just murders a baseball more than I'm telling you, like this thing it cleared the fence the netting that was over the fence in the outfield. It's the farthest that I've ever seen an 11-year-old hit a baseball. That tied it up and forced extra innings. We ultimately lost by 1. Despite I'm going too far into this, but we had runners at second and third, no outs, 3 straight line drives. We hit a dude, and then they come up and hit a double and win the game in the bottom half of the 7th. But it hurt a little bit more because, and he did his job. The DJ did his job, but the DJ started playing A Tribe Called Quest, Lost My Wallet, and El Segundo, and I'm like, man, I gotta listen. Like I gotta listen to Tribe while like rubbing in that it's El Segundo that they say and not Hermosa Beach or Redondo Beach, right where I live. So that was a little bit hurtful. So when DeAndre came back there with some Tribe, it just made me think of that.
You have to associate a good song that you like with a bad moment.
Thank you for summarizing that. That's correct, Funchy. Yeah, so that hurt a little bit. Okay. I would say that if there's any web page that I have open more than another, it's probably the NBA standings page. Certainly when I go to the NBA app during the season, and that's probably my most used app because I'll watch games on there, and hitting the little bar to get to the standings, that's what I'm looking at the most. It's just relevant every day. It's never too early. Even after one game, kind of looking in there like, oh, okay, and just looking at last year's standings right now to remind everybody. Okay, this is I'm going to go 1 through. I'll quickly go through 1 through 15. Okay, OKC, San Antonio, Denver, Lakers, Houston, Minnesota, Phoenix, Portland, Clippers, Golden State, New Orleans, Dallas, Memphis, Sacramento, Utah. If there's going to be a team that I think dramatically changes where they are in the standings, probably the easiest one to point to right away would be Utah, just because they were trying so hard to lose last year that they didn't even play their good lineups and their good players. So I don't think they're going to be great, but they weren't trying to win it all. They were trying to get another draft pick and a lottery pick, and it worked out. They get number 2. They get Darren Peterson. They add him. They trade for Jaren Jackson Jr., who they, by the way, played for like 1 game. Okay, so he's now going to be there. Walker Kessler missed the entire season. He got injured early in the season. And then Lauri Markkanen ended up missing a ton of games. So basically, like 4 of their, I'd say, 6 best players didn't play last season, either because they weren't there yet in the case of Peterson, or they were traded for, or they were injured. So that 22 wins, you could easily say will be north of 40. Now, how many north of 40? I don't think they have a top 15 player, and that to me is going to be cause for people to be a little bit too high on Utah. Like, they're going to be good. They're going to be tough to beat. I think they probably will battle for sure for a play-in spot, and that's, I think, the range that I'm going to have them in. Well, last year's play-in spot, it took 45 wins to get to the 7. That's where Phoenix was. 42 wins got you to the 8. Now, the Timberwolves had 49 wins. So to clear the play-in line, you had to basically win 50 games last year. I don't see Utah winning 50 games. I think they'll be somewhere in the 40s. But I bring that, I mentioned that as that's the team I think that's going to shift the most. Now, I don't think any of us are crazy enough to think that OKC or San Antonio are going to go down much. Right?
Oh, I agree.
Okay. Yeah, that's a simple one. We don't have to discuss that. So I think 1-2 is a fair place to put them. They both won 60-plus games last year, and neither of them are getting worse.
Oh.
Right? In fact, you could argue that they're going to be better. San Antonio, more just their young guys are a year older. They're playoff tested now. They're battle tested. I don't know that they're for sure going to win that many games because both of them had relative health last year compared to a lot of teams, but they're going to be up there. Now, this is where it starts to get interesting. Okay, you've got Denver, the Lakers, Houston, Minnesota. I think that's a foursome to me that I think is all pretty comparable. Denver, to me, would be the team that I could see dropping off some. We still don't know if they're going to make some kind of a trade. It's a lot on Jokic to keep playing at that level every year. Aaron Gordon and Jamal Murray were banged up last year, especially Aaron Gordon. Cam Johnson was kind of just okay when they made that trade. Christian Brown, I thought, took a step back, and they paid him relative to paying Peyton Watson. That is going to end up costing them if they keep Peyton Watson, which I think they probably will end up having to keep him. Then that's going to be expensive as well, and that means they can't really get better elsewhere, barring some kind of a trade. So Denver, I would probably move a slight tick down below the Lakers. Houston is interesting. What do you guys think? Just before I give you what I think about Houston, what are your guys' initial thoughts about the Houston Rockets?
I thought they were really dysfunctional, if I'm being honest with you. And I don't know if that's due to not having leadership and Fred VanVleet and Steven Adams not being involved, deep in their playoff run. But I thought that team was trending towards the wrong direction, towards the second half of the NBA season. So I don't know what to expect with them, only that if they want to get better, they got to find a way to, get more perimeter jump shooting on that roster besides a guy like Kevin Durant. And again, I know Van Vliet's going to add to that, but I don't know, their team is just weird because they're young and they got size, they got athleticism, they got guys that can defend, but they haven't been able to. I feel like they just can't put those pieces together. So that's why maybe Marcus Smart being in there adds more to it, but I don't know if that adds to what the real problems is and that, as far as offensive holes that they have.
I like the way you put that, DeAndre. You're a ball knower, and I think that the way that Ime Udoka coaches them also, I think, could get a little stale because he's kind of a yeller and hey, just play harder. And I don't know that you can do that year after year. So I agree. I would have them kind of in a lower tier as well. Minnesota is the wild card here. They've been excellent the last several years now, like Western Conference Finals before last year, but they basically just blew up half the team to bring LaMelo in. Can LaMelo stay healthy? How much is he going to take off the plate of Anthony Edwards? How are Ant's knees going to be, especially the one knee that was giving him problems to start the playoffs going into next year?
Can I just ask a genuine question about that?
Yeah, please do.
I don't understand it. Because a lot of it is more, they're trying to find a ball handler to complement Anthony Edwards because they want to make sure they get the ball out of his hands a lot more because fatigue started to set in because not only was he bringing the ball up, but they're also asking to put up 25 to 30 points per game and also be able to defend. So the workload for him started to get too much. So bringing a guy like LaMelo Ball who has not been able to stay healthy, it just confuses me because me personally, I thought Minnesota is known for their size. Having a big in Julius Randle, having another big come off the bench in Naz Reid, because Rudy Gobert sometimes gets played off the floor when it's on an offensive level or when the teams tend to go smaller, Naz Reid can match up. So I don't know. I'm just confused a little bit and why make that move.
I think the answer to me is that teams in the playoffs, and this is especially San Antonio and OKC the year before, they just hard doubled Ant. The Lakers probably would have done the same thing. And that meant against the Lakers, right, Julius Randle ended up having enough because the Lakers didn't really have much inside in that playoff series to be able to contend. They had just traded Anthony Davis, right, and it was basically like Jackson Hayes, and Ant was able to either split that or they just got downhill, and Julius especially was able to get all the way to the rim and finish. When they went against teams with shot blocking, and that's OKC and San Antonio, you double Ant, and nobody else can get to the rack. And that's it. It's kind of game over. Now you can't load up on them in the same way. And I think LaMelo is a very willing passer. He can absolutely get his own shot. He can beat you over the top. So if you can stay healthy, I think it totally transforms the way that they can play offense. Do they give something up defensively with the size? For sure. Yohan Berenger, I think they're expecting a lot. Another French kid to come up behind Rudy Gobert. I think they're going to have to find another answer at power forward. But I think just for them, the way that they're thinking, and this is how basketball is going to be played, they had to change that identity because they just saw themselves running into a wall and getting frustrated in the postseason. So I'm pro overall what they did. I think that they're going to remain right there on that kind of Lakers tier. Phoenix, I don't think you worry about too much. I thought they overachieved last year. I don't love the moves they made. I think they tried.
You don't like the Bridges trade?
Not really. It's okay, but I don't think it made them markedly better. That was about the only asset they had left, the unprotected pick going out.
Kind of looked good on paper, though. Starting five.
But it's just I think they're okay, but I just don't see, they don't, where's Devin Booker? What is he, the 21st best player in the league? That might be generous.
Do you think that the Phoenix Suns will have the same type of performance as they did this last year? Because they overachieved this.
No, I don't. That's what I'm saying. I think they're going to, I think they caught some people by surprise last year by playing super hard, having a good culture, all that. I don't think you can repeat that again next year. So I see them kind of in that low 40s win range. Portland maybe goes up by a couple wins. The Clippers, I don't think, got better. The Warriors, I think, will be better than 37 and 45. New Orleans, are they trading their guys? We don't even know. Dallas is going to be better. Dallas can be better than 26 wins. Kyrie coming back, another year of Cooper Flag. I like the pick that they made.
Do you like the rookie head coach?
Yeah, I do like him, actually.
Yeah?
I do. I think he's he reminds me a little bit of a Mark Daigneault type.
Oh, okay.
I kind of like what they're. It's going to take a while. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. So, but yeah, I think the point is though, there isn't a team below the Lakers that I'm kind of turning around and just completely worrying about. I do still think that you're chasing San Antonio and Oklahoma City, and other than that, the Lakers should have a shot. All right, coming up next to talk about this and all things NBA, our buddy Ben Golliver, senior NBA writer for ESPN. That'll be coming out of the break here on Lakers Talk with Mike Trudell.
Hey, it's Greg Bergman. Have you become a part of the ESPN LA Blue Crew? Well, if you haven't, why haven't you? The Blue Review presented by LAX. Each weekday morning at 6:30 a.m. with me, Gregory Arthur Bergman, thanks, Cappy, and Marcus Grant. We're talking Dodgers baseball first thing in your day and getting you warmed up for the Sedano and Cap morning show. The Blue Review on our ESPN LA YouTube channel at ESPN Los Angeles. Weekdays at 6:30 a.m. Live and always on demand. Your home for real Dodgers talk, ESPN LA.
This summer's biggest football watch party experience is happening at Mercado Gonzalez in Costa Mesa. Catch every Mexico and USA match live, surrounded by non-stop game day energy, passionate fans, drink specials, surprise giveaways, grab fire asada tacos, slow braised quesadilla, fresh ceviches, warm churros, and more while you cheer on your team with the entire Mercado. Mercado Gonzalez, your soccer fan paradise this summer. Join us every Mexico and USA match at Mercado Gonzalez in Costa Mesa, where every match tastes better.
Your friends at Angelica's Insurance want to wish you a safe and happy holiday this 4th of July as we celebrate freedom, family, and community. Thank you for trusting Angelica's to protect what matters the most. You. Happy Independence Day from all of us at Angelica's Insurance.
When's the last time payroll was the easy part of your week? With Gusto, it can be. Gusto is the all-in-one platform designed to take the hassle out of managing your team, from payroll and compliance to hiring, onboarding, and more. With Gusto, you can get back 2 full days each month with all the time you have saved. Go to gusto.com today and learn why over 500,000 small businesses choose Gusto. That's Gusto.com. Gusto.com.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/play. That's ethos.com/play. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
This is Lakers Talk with Mike Trudell on your home of Lakers basketball, ESPN LA, 710 AM on the all-new ESPN LA app and on YouTube at ESPN Los Angeles.
Welcome back to Lakers Talk. We're into the second hour of action here. I've been enjoying, while all of this news is coming in, watching basically every World Cup game. The only game that I went to was Switzerland versus Bosnia-Herzegovina, but I did get to scout Bosnia-Herzegovina, who is the USA's opponent, on Wednesday.
What do you think?
I have many thoughts on this, Funches, and I'm glad you asked. I'm not going to give you a ton on this, though, because our buddy Ben Golliver is going to be joining us in a matter of seconds. Bottom line, USA is better, but Bosnia is dangerous. They are huge on the front line. You don't want to give up too many set pieces as a result because they can score on literally any corner kick or free kick. They have two kind of tricky wingers that can break down the defense on the outside. I do like how the USA is suited to deal with them, though, because we're super athletic in the back, and especially with Anthony Robinson. So, like, I feel pretty good about the USA. I just hope that they are not too confident, and I think that losing to Turkey, especially at the death in the final minute, it was probably a good thing. Just, get the players' attention that much more, that you're not unbeatable. Don't believe all the smoke everyone was blowing up your you-know-what after your first 2 wins. So, I think mindset-wise it should be pretty good going into Wednesday. All right, and with that, I welcome in one of my favorite NBA analysts and just people in general, Ben Golliver, ESPN senior writer who has been tracking and writing and tweeting and paying attention to everything going on in the NBA. So, Ben, let me just be generic with you at first. And sometimes I'll do this if it's a good head coach and it's somebody that I truly want to see where they want to go first. What is the top line item for you that has got your basketball brain in knots that's happened in these last couple of days, or that you expect to happen tomorrow?
Yeah, well, I think it was Portland with the Ja Morant deal, right? I don't want to say they won the day, but they stole the headlines for sure. Taking a risk on a guy who really didn't have a lot of interest around the league. They're able to give up Jeremy Grant and Murray. I mean, it's not really talent that's going out in Portland. It's more so just contracts.
Yeah.
No picks involved either, but end of an era for Memphis. And for Portland, a huge and very strange gamble where they're kind of bringing in John Morant to a situation where they already have Damian Lillard, another small guard who's not really known as a defender. That's going to be a little bit of a strange pairing. And they have all these other guards, Drew Holiday, Shaded Sharp, Scoot Henderson. So somebody's probably got to get traded, right, over the next couple of days as they can kind of balance their roster out. So just an unusual move. Obviously, they have a new owner up there in Portland with Tom Dundon, and maybe he's trying to buy low and just bring in some talent. I don't know how well it's going to be received in Portland, obviously, from that fan base. A lot of questions there with John Morant off the court. And then on the court, too. He hasn't been healthy. He hasn't been super productive. He hasn't looked like the same guy for the last 3 years. So to me, that was the biggest move of the day. Would you agree?
For sure. And it definitely was the one that made me that jumbled my brain for the most part. You just mentioned part of why, just with the, first of all, I thought Scoot Henderson started to show some signs, later in the season. And so what does this do now? And then Damian Lillard, who missed the whole season, he's back. Holiday is fine because you can play him at basically the 2 or the 3 with his skill set. But that's just weird. Which one of those guys I guess you have to bench, you have to bench one of Ja or Dame too, can't you? You can't start the shortest and smallest, thinnest backcourt of all time, can you? What are they going to do there?
I think that's their plan, is to start those guys together, and maybe you just stagger their minutes, and maybe you count on Ja missing 50 games because seems like he does every year, and so you're thinking, well, we'll worry about that as a problem if they can both stay healthy and on the court. Obviously, Dame's coming off of an Achilles as well, so you want to be careful with his minutes. So maybe you're thinking like a platoon strategy, right? Like everybody just keep their minutes low and hope they can stay healthy. I don't know, but your point on Scoot is excellent. I mean, what a challenging start to his career, right? Chauncey Billups is his first coach. Then Tiago Splitter, he's gone. Now it's Mike Nori. It never seems like Portland trusted him with the ball in his hands. He's coming off the bench as a rookie, out of the G League Ignite, and now he's looking around saying, what am I, like the 4th or 5th priority in this backcourt? I think if somebody wants to do a buy low opportunity, I would be buying low on Scoot Henderson.
That's the good call right there.
I wouldn't be buying low on John Morant,
I love that. So that to me is, if I'm some other team, and especially if I need some creation or some secondary creation, that is the guy that I'm trying to target now, because he's 13.5 mil this year, and then he's got the qualifying offer because this is still his rookie deal, obviously, for 19. But that's one part of it. The other part of it that does make some sense to me, though, and you know that you probably will remember this, but I said it to Funchy and DeAndre earlier in the show. Like, Jeremy Grant to me is a shooting guard in a small forward's body who plays power forward, and that kind of describes what he does. And he's making big money. He's $34 million this year, and then a player option for $36.4 for next year. So in that sense, that to me is a bad contract. Okay, and so you're in some ways, I get the whole Ja messiness and just craziness and what's he going to turn into, but it's to give up actually nothing and actually get off of a contract that was inhibiting something else. That part, I think it at least makes a little bit of sense in dumping Grant's money.
No, I hear you. It would make more sense to me, though, if John Morant was on an expiring contract. He's not. He's got this year and next year, and he's on a really big number, even bigger than Grant's. And so,
it's
to me,
mid-40s.
if you're trying to make a cost –
yeah,
it's mid-40s. And so if you're trying to make a cost-cutting move with Grant – and look, Portland's had him on the trade block for years, and so they're probably just thank God we can move off of him and try something different. But I don't like the move from a financial standpoint either, because – let's say Ja gets hurt again this season. Now you're stuck with his contract. It's weighing down your books. And, again, it's just a misallocation of resources. Too much money going towards your guards. They thinned out their forward ranks. I mean, Grant's not great. Murray, wasn't great either, but they need somebody else in that spot. The only way this makes sense to me is if there's another move coming, right, where they're putting a whole bunch of assets together, trying to get a big forward. There's been Jaylen Brown talk. If I was them, wouldn't you make a call on Kawhi Leonard too and just offer the Clippers the same package that you offered the Celtics for Jaylen Brown? Because he's been on the block here, at least within rumors as well these last couple of weeks. You've got to balance this roster out and get more forwards.
I mean, I get what you're saying, Ben, but I would not put Kawhi Leonard anywhere near the Jaylen Brown category. And I'm not even a big Jaylen Brown fan, especially for that amount of money. But at least that you are getting actual basketball production Like, I get that Kawhi had a healthier year for him last year, but he's basically, I can't remember the last time that he actually finished a postseason healthy, and he finished a year without having something recur in the knee, and especially just with all the questions coming up with aspiration, and like I heard some stuff about Toronto, and like if they really come down hard, and well, then he's in a different country, and like it's I just don't know. I'm not really there in terms of the Kawhi business personally.
No, look, he wouldn't be the top of my list either. I wouldn't have traded for Ja Morant either. I'm just saying, once you've gone down this road, if the strategy for Portland is, hey, we're trying to just accumulate as much talent as possible, we don't care as much about chemistry with the Ja Morant factor. We're just going to bank on, hey, some, guys on some tough contracts, maybe have some red flags, but we're just going to try to accumulate talent and hope to put it together and win. That seems to be their strategy. I wouldn't stop here. It's like, don't go halfway in. You got to go all in with that strategy. And so I would try to make another move. They have so many extra guards. I mean, Drew Holiday for sure. We haven't even mentioned Denny Avdia. He's their centerpiece guy. You've taken the ball out of his hands now if you're Portland with all these other ball handlers. And so, you've got to thin out some of those other guys to make sure he gets enough touches. And you need more size. Right now at this point, it's going to be clinging down low and then a whole bunch of super small lineups that just are not going to be able to keep up in the Western Conference. They got to find somebody big on the wing. Yeah, you qualified that very well, as expected. I was looking earlier in the show, kind of at the bottom part of the standings and trying to think, okay, should the Lakers be rear-view mirror checking at all? Are there any teams behind them that are coming? And I do think that you have to at least acknowledge that the Timberwolves scenario with LaMelo Ball joining Anthony Edwards is intriguing. It's certainly interesting to see how that's going to look. And I think I like this more than I initially expected to, because I get the philosophy when considering how you could beat a team like Oklahoma City or San Antonio, the level of ball handling that you need, the level of creation that you need, the ability to be a little bit smaller, albeit with an anchor right now and Gobert, and then eventually with Baron J. So I kind of can see that to an extent, and I think the Wolves have earned somewhat of a benefit of the doubt with all the big swings that they've made. So that's one. Other than that, I mean, Utah's obviously going to be better than the 22 wins when they were trying to lose last year, Ben, but I don't see them as good as maybe some do. I think low 40s and kind of in that play-in mix is where I see them. Is there any other team that finished below the Lakers and obviously below the Thunder, the Spurs, that you think is kind of that you like the total package of what they put together going into next season? They're not teams I think the Lakers need to worry about. It's more about the long-term plays. I think Memphis and Dallas have both done a nice job progressing through their rebuilds. They're still a year away, 2 years away, but they're going to be set up very well from a cap perspective and a young core talent perspective in both those spots, that their fans should be a lot happier today than maybe they were a month ago. Going back to what you said on Minnesota, the LaMelo Ball thing is really interesting. I think they're not going to lose the same way they did last year, with Randall kind of holding them back in the playoffs, or even the year before at times Randall held them back in the playoffs. I just still think they're going to lose, though. I look at the idea of trying to throw LaMelo Ball out there with no playoff experience, a lot of turnover and decision-making questions, shot selection questions against these, pit bull defenders with Oklahoma City and San Antonio. And I just don't see it working. I don't believe he's going to be a 16-game player in that scenario. Now, I think he could be really fun. I think they could have an electric offense. I think they could look a lot different. I think it's great for Anthony Edwards to have another ball handler just make his life easier so that he doesn't have to wear down and have quite such a high usage as he's had before. But I just don't believe in them from a playoff standpoint personally. So if I was the Lakers and you're telling me, look, you get 70 games from Luka healthy next year, I would rather be the Lakers than the Timberwolves at this point, assuming that they're able to keep their core together and bring most of their guys back. They've already locked up Austin Reaves. Still waiting, I think, some secondary moves here. Lakers fans are, but tell me you're bringing most teams back. I wouldn't be overly concerned about the Timberwolves if I was the Lakers. Well, thank you for bringing me back to the Lakers. This is Lakers talk after all, and Ben, it's just it's a tricky position to try and figure out exactly what the roster is going to look like when you have the LeBron question. First of all, they at least, of course, as you mentioned, got the Austin Reaves situation cleared up. Then you have Rui Hachimura, you have who's still out there, who can be is an unrestricted free agent. You have Marcus Smart, there are some reports linking him to Houston. We shall see. And on that point right there with Smart, he was about the only solution the Lakers had from a point of attack defensive perspective.
And I thought that overall he had a very good year. Like he showed that he can still be a positive contributor to a playoff team. He was very good in the Houston series. Now, obviously, he got taxed in terms of what they wanted him to do against Oklahoma City because Luka Doncic was out. And then he had to do too much, and you started to see what the limitations were of Marcus Smart. But on a team in which Luka Doncic and Austin Reaves are both healthy, it wouldn't necessarily look like that. But that kind of gets us back right to that initial question. So even if you do figure out a way to get LeBron, like where is the perimeter point of attack defense coming? Where is that wing athleticism coming? There isn't a ton out there in terms of the unrestricted free agency pool that seems able that the Lakers are going to be able to tap into while still taking care of some of their own guys. So can you make sense of all that and what you see coming in these next couple of days and weeks for the Lakers?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. You can't solve every problem in free agency these days, given the way that the salary cap is become so much harder, with the punitive luxury taxes. You can't spend your way to depth, right? I think that, to address things like a role player who's a really good backcourt defender, you have to draft well. You have to get some hits with guys on like two-way contracts, and you got to find some diamonds in the rough to kind of fill out your rotation, especially if you're paying your stars like Luka and Austin Reaves big money, right? I mean, that's just going to be the only way you're going to find it because, even somebody like Marcus Smart potentially could, become too expensive to keep. And while he was a valuable role player for LA last year, I wouldn't necessarily say he's cream of the crop still at this stage of his career for what he does. And so it's a challenging spot. I mean, if you're the Lakers, obviously I think your highest priority this summer is the center position. If I'm Luka, I want an upgrade at that spot. And, just given the way things have shaken out, there's not enough good centers out there to go around. You could have to dance in that restricted free agency game with like Walker Kessler or Jalen Duren and just cross your fingers and hope you could find a way to maybe do a sign and trade to get one of those guys. I was a little surprised by Utah. Did you see them sign in Yusuf Nurkic? That feels like an extraneous guy. Given that they already have Jaren Jackson Jr., they probably want to bring Walker Kessler back. Is that somebody who could be available for a different team down the road, possibly by trade? I don't know how much he makes sense for the Lakers, though. And so you get my point. It's just very challenging to plug all of these holes when you've got the big contracts on your books. And so that could lead you to a situation where if you're Lakers, you're kind of playing defense. You're saying, hey, let's try to keep as many of our guys as possible and take another shot down the road. And certainly I think for Lakers fans who watch the Thunder, take care of the Lakers pretty quickly in the playoffs, obviously without Luka, I think they were hoping for more of a step forward this summer. And it could
kill for him.
All right, Ben, that very well summarized. As expected, this gives us just a little bit of time for me to get all of your World Cup takes out. Like, what team has surprised you? What team are you picking to win it all? Who are you enjoying watching the most? Who are you rooting for? Get those World Cup takes going, please.
Oh, man. Well, you were talking about going to that game earlier in the tournament. I got a chance to go see Canada, score in stoppage time, to win their game the other day at SoFi. What a scene, it's just a lot of ball knowers, clearly fans from around the SoCal area just checking out the soccer in person. It was really fun to see that. That's probably going to be a one and done. I'm going to be like all these freshmen like AJ DeBanza. That's going to be it for me, given how expensive those tickets were. But it was still a fun scene. I like France, real shocking, tough call there. I'm really rooting for Norway, though, man. I visited that country. The people are amazing. The culture is so cool. Obviously, everyone's seeing their rowing celebrations and the passion their fan base has as they're going all around the United States. I would love for them to be able to survive like Ivory Coast. And then we saw Brazil almost get upset by Japan today. I would love to see Norway and Holland pull the upset on Brazil. That's what I'm crossing my fingers for. What about you?
Well, DeAndre, who's in the booth with me today now, he's got Ivory Coast and Brazil as his two teams in the pool, so he's going to be rooting very heavily against Holland and Norway.
Come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's a DeAndre. Although he's concerned though because his two teams are about to play each other if Ivory Coast wins. You and I, we discussed this earlier. Like, I have Brazil coming out of that, but I think that again, did you talk to your buddy, the Moose Man? Before the tournament started? What was his name again?
Yeah, no, the guys up in Norway, man, they love the outdoors, and so I could definitely relate to them. I didn't get any inside tips on the Norwegian side, but how scared were you when Brazil was down 1-0? I mean, were you quaking in your boots a little bit?
Especially because you and I had talked, and I think did you have Mexico coming out of that side of the bracket?
I do. I was just riding the home field advantage, philosophy. Every once in a while you see these teams make a deep run,
Yeah, no. And so Mexico would be, so if Brazil gets past your Norwegians, and by the way, one of the best kits in the tournament, okay? The home with the flag, the red.
Best.
Yeah, maybe the. I mean, my favorite is the French secondary color, honoring Our Lady of Liberty, the gift from France that they gave us, the Statue of Liberty color. Just a beautiful kit there from the French. And I also think that we should be more appreciative of the French, okay? We would not have beaten the British in the Revolutionary War without the French. Anyway, I will be watching all of the remaining games, and then I'm sure we'll get a chance to talk to you. By the way, the Netherlands just scored, so that's exciting. So Netherlands up 1-0 on Morocco. All right, Ben Golliver.
Very timely founding father take here with the July 4th holiday coming up, Mike.
That's right,
I love it. You're all over it.
250, okay? 250. You got to appreciate the French more than you do. I get we had to bail them out a little bit in World War II, but they weren't the only ones that needed help, okay?
A little bit.
Well, look, all right, stop. Anyway, he's Ben Golliver. Excellent takes as always, and I will probably bother you again to come and join us next week. Thanks, man. You're the best.
Oh, anytime, man. Take care.
All right, there he is. Ben Golliver joining us on Lakers Talk with a little World Cup talk as well. All right, let's do this. 1-877-710-3776. If you want to talk anything, please go ahead and give me a call. Now, anything that's come up on the show thus far, Lakers takes, you want to get a World Cup takeoff, it's dealer's choice coming up. We do have a couple of NBA and Lakers topics as well still to get to. It's Lakers Talk with Mike Trudell on ESPN 710.
Mornings in LA start with Sedano and Cap.
On this day in 1997, Mike Tyson bit Vander Holyfield's ear.
Oh, yeah.
On the third round of their heavyweight rematch.
I was there that night.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Weekdays starting at 7 a.m. on ESPN LA.
Let me tell you something. Hey, Berg, you'll love this. Here comes a reference. Me and JT the Brick were there that night.
That guy
He wasn't. Chris isn't here, Dave.
I know, but
we don't need it.
That's who I was there with that night. And I never forget, man. He bit that ear off, and we ran back to the media outlet center behind where was it? Maybe MGM Grand Garden. Does that sound right?
Probably.
And we couldn't wait to hear what was going to happen afterwards. So yeah, 1997.
What did it sound like, Cap? No, I mean, what did he say?
Oh, that part. That was the aftermath.
You thought the biting of the ear?
Right. The biting of the ear. It sounded like this, Lindsay.
Ew.
Yeah.
The Morning Show with Sedano and Cap. Weekdays starting at 7 a.m. on ESPN Los Angeles.
Get as loud as you can for Monster Jam!
The one and only Monster Jam. Packed with stunts, smiles, and jaw-dropping skills. See the world's best drivers tear up the dirt in your favorite Monster Jam trucks. Like Gravedigger, El Toro Loco, Sparkle Smash, and more. Only at Monster Jam. Coming to Crypto.com Arena July 17th through 19th. Brought to you by Peak 80 Tires and O'Reilly Auto Parts. Visit MonsterJam.com today.
Less than 4 in 10 kids aged 6 through 12 are playing sports regularly. 4 in 10 kids? Let it sink in. Just 4 in 10 kids. ESPN is building a nationwide coalition powered by Disney called Take Back Sports, with the purpose of training more coaches, expanding access, and creating community-driven sports programming that puts kids and fun first. We're working on that story. We hope you'll join us.
Visit takebacksports.org to learn more.
I'm David Ortiz. When I lost my mom, she was only 46. And I lost my dad to cancer. It was the worst pain I ever felt. It made me think, what will happen with the people I love when my time is up? That's why I have life insurance. Ethos makes it easy. It's all online, take about 10 minutes, and you can get up to $3 million in coverage.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/game. That's ethos.com/game. Paid testimonial. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
This is Lakers Talk with Mike Trudell on your home of Lakers basketball. ESPN LA, 710 AM on the all-new ESPN LA app and on YouTube at ESPN Los Angeles.
Welcome back to Lakers Talk. My name is Mike Trudell. DeAndre and Funchy hanging out with me tonight. You know, DeAndre, you moved up into the top of the World Cup pool, my man.
I did?
You see that?
I did not. I got to look at the updated standings.
You're number one right now, tied with Laura. Now, the Brazilians carrying you to this point. 10 points for the Brazilians, 3 wins and 1 tie. I had the big come-from-behind win over Japan. And then you've got the Ivory Coast, Les Elefantes.
Let's go.
And Les Elefantes coming up. Now, if they win, then you are in really good shape, all right? Because, so let's see. So that game is tomorrow. Yeah, 10 a.m. tomorrow against Norway. If Ivory Coast wins, and let's see, you would have 19 points. And that's especially key because Laura, who is right now tied with you in first, she's got Morocco. And they're down 1-0 now with only about 15 minutes left against the Netherlands. Now, with that said, if the Netherlands win, Johnny Ireland is going to overtake you in first place.
Oh, I don't want him to win.
With 17 points.
He's going to, just talk about it all year, be the smartest guy ever, blah, blah, blah.
He is the smartest guy ever, first of all.
No, he's setting up over there, man.
and he's – well, here's the thing, though. He's got Switzerland as his second team. So the Swiss have they have Algeria, I believe. Yeah. So the Swiss have Algeria. They're going to be slight favorites probably to win that game. I basically need Spain to win the whole thing, okay, because Turkey is already out. So I've only got 10 points, but I do like the Spaniards' chances of advancing very far. Funchy, you are down to just the English, and you are tied with me and Cappy in points, though.
You know, so funny, when we had our draft, I literally had a chance to choose between Argentina and England, and I still went with England.
Which was a fair choice, though.
Well, I saw the odds, and they had better odds.
Yeah, England actually had slightly higher odds than Argentina. I think, so Argentina has looked amazing, but they also played in a group that wasn't that great because Uruguay, was that the group with Uruguay in it? Or no, who did they play?
Yeah, but no team has ever repeated, right?
No. So I'm sorry. They had Austria, Algeria, and Jordan in their group. So not a very strong group.
But no team has ever repeated, though, right?
I don't actually,
or not for a very long time.
Yeah,
right?
not in a long time. I think Brazil might have been back to back in the 60s or 70s.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very difficult to repeat for sure. And I think people just assumed that Messi would wear down some as the tournament went on. He's 38 years old.
That's what I thought.
Instead of wearing down, he's just scoring every goal that he can. He's got 6 goals. But I still think your England pick was a good one. The English haven't looked great, but they've been solid, and they're very difficult to beat. So, you still got a decent path with the English as well.
By the way, to answer your question, Brazil was the last repeat winner in the FIFA World Cup, claiming consecutive titles in 1958 in Sweden and 1962 in Chile.
There you go. Thank you, Young D. Okay, so Funchy, you got Bergman's Congo, the Democratic Republic of the Congo.
Hey, they've been kind of the surprising team, though.
Hey, there have been a lot of. So I mean, you got Cape Verde, Congo. You got Australia. You got Ghana. You've got. I mean, Senegal, not surprising because that's a pretty good side. They've always been pretty good in the African tournaments. But yeah, I mean, look, the African teams are comporting themselves very well, and you got one of them in the Ivory Coast coming up tomorrow. All right. We got a couple calls, and we're going to get to as many as we can. Let's start with JJ in Belmont Shores. What's happening, JJ?
Hey, Michael. So nice to talk to you, my friend.
And you, sir. What's happening? What do you got for me?
When I look at what Utah's doing, Funchy and DeAndre and Beto I wanted to make a play on Filipowski at the trade deadline before they started playing him so much because they had him on the bench. They were just kind of leaving him alone, and I wanted to grab him. Now, with him and Nurek, if they're good, I don't believe in Keller. I don't know why, but I just don't. I don't see that. I think they might get rid of one of those other two. What do you think?
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for the call. I appreciate it. And here's what I like that you're doing, JJ. I like that you're going into the bench, the reserve units.
I like that he calls Beto.
I like that. I like that too. I didn't know that he calls Beto. So JJ's digging deep, and he's trying to figure out, hey, is there an untapped talent in the league that I can find a way to get to the Lakers roster before somebody else thinks of it? So I like that. He's mining out there. And I will say Kyle Filipowski, he's not terrible. Like, he's got some skills. He's got some things that he can do well. And I do think that they're going to be a little bit heavy in the front court. I mean, I think that's a big part of the reason why they go with Darren Peterson over Cam Boozer, who some people think was the better overall prospect. I get that there are a lot of people going back watching Peterson's high school film, which was ridiculous, and all the skills that he had. But if you just think about who has won the most and whose team always seems to be good at every level, that would be Cam Boozer. And so he's certainly like the more proven. He had a much better year, obviously, at Duke than Peterson did at Kansas. So we'll see on that. But yeah, a loaded front court. I don't know specifically if it's worth giving something up to get him. To me, that's more of a player who you try to get like after his first contract. If you see if you can get him to walk into space, and especially just knowing that Utah and Danny Ainge and his son Austin Ainge aren't exactly going to just give you guys for free.
Al just gave up his number too to Darren Peterson.
Well, okay, and let's see, which is I suppose hopefully he got paid for it.
He did get paid for it.
Yes,
He did
get
get paid for it.
I did ask Michael Thompson, by the way, if he was going to demand any payment for the rookie coming in wearing his number 43.
Oh, is he wearing? Is Carr wearing a 43?
Carr's wearing 43.
Oh yeah, that's
man.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
His dad was 43 back in the day too.
Yeah. So I asked Michael. I was like, look, man, what's in it for you, huh? And Michael, to his credit, is basically demurred and said, it's all right. He can have it. And I think he said maybe like a steak or something, but he was joking.
I think we need a Michael Thompson update next week.
You want to hit Michael up?
Yeah,
we'll
next
get Michael
week.
on.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
All right, I was just texting with them earlier today, but we'll get Michael on and see what's going on in that crazy head of his. In the meantime, how about Walrus in Encino? What's happening, Walrus?
Hey, what's up, Mike? You know, this, and of course, Funch and DeAndre, this LeBron situation, man, it's just, it's really kind of turning into, quite the drama, but on another level, because now, I'm sure you all were talking about earlier, I didn't hear if you did, Porzingis now getting brought back to Golden State is going to remove the non-tax exempt mid-level in Golden State. So that's going to perhaps mean he's going to have to take a minimum if he's going to go there, if they're going to be able to nab Anthony Davis. One way or the other, though, and it's unfortunate because I'm like Funchy. I want LeBron on the team. I think he makes the team better. But I think it's come to an end. I really do. I just don't see how they're going to be able to walk back this entire crazy situation, which is playing in front of all of us. So moving forward, I'm a big believer in Rui Hachimura. I think they need to stop thinking about him as a role player and put him into a star role. I really think the guy, if he's put into that position, he's going to be able to fill it. I will believe it until I don't see it. Anyways, have a great night, everyone.
Walrus, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate your insights. So we talked about this a little bit, and I'll reiterate from earlier in the show because you make an interesting point about Kristaps Porzingis signing in Golden State. What are the salary cap implications there? How does that impact their ability to offer LeBron James money? So the paragraph from the story that Anthony Slater, who covers the Warriors and other teams for ESPN, is this. The Porzingis signing makes the math trickier for the Warriors to clear enough space to offer unrestricted free agent LeBron James the full $15.1 million non-taxpayer mid-level exception, but there remain paths for them to clear enough financial room, particularly given Draymond Green's decision to decline his $27.6 million player option and deliver the Warriors flexibility in the coming days. So that's the short end of it. I also think that they could do something with Moses Moody, right? They could move him. They could use that money. I think it's around between 11 and 13 million for the next couple of years. As I said, Draymond's number is not going to count until they re-sign him later in the summer, much in the way that the Lakers agreed to terms with Austin Reaves, but they don't have to actually sign that and have that deal come on until later in the summer after they've finished out all the previous business. So the point here is that I do think Golden State can still figure out a way to get LeBron James some money, and they can at least make it try to make it worth his while, try to make it competitive to what the Lakers could give him. Although, of course, they couldn't give him as much as the Lakers could. The question is, how much do the Lakers want to give LeBron? And you also mentioned Rui Hachimura. Well, if they give LeBron a certain amount, that means there's less for Rui Hachimura. There's less for more center help. There's less for point of attack defense. And especially if Marcus Smart leaves, that's certainly going to be an area of need. So good points all around by you, but I still think that it's in play, the Golden State situation. That to me is the first one that I've really turned to and thought, okay, I could see that happening to some extent, even if I think the best overall fit remains with the Lakers. Let's go over to Solomon in Lake Balboa. What's up, Solomon?
Hey, man, I'm good. Thanks for taking my call. The way I look at the LeBron situation, possibly going to Golden State, I think it's a win-win. He gets to hook up with his good buddy, Steph, play along with AG if they get him, and Draymond. That's a real interesting team. I don't know how much they're going to be available during the season, but that's another story. That wouldn't be my problem. So he's going to hopefully be kind of happy. because, he does deserve something for the time he's put into the league and what he's given to the Lakers. And what it does for the Lakers, terrific. They're done. Take the handcuffs off. Now you can maybe look at getting a Walker Kessler, maybe a Jalen Duren, and whatever else you're going to have to do. You know what I'm saying? They're just relieved of that, man. They don't have to be concerned about it anymore. I think it'll be a real good win-win situation for both parties.
Solomon, thank you as always for taking the time to call in. Really appreciate your time and your insight. I would answer like this. I get the whole idea that building a roster around Luka Doncic and not having the uncertainty of LeBron's future and how many years and how much money and the fit and the ball, and I can understand that. But I, at least in my own mind, am trying to put that aside for at least one more year for now, because I don't see another player. This is, by the way, what David McMenamin and I were discussing the first hour of the show. I don't see another player out there that could come in and do what LeBron does for the price that I think you're going to be able to get LeBron to do it for. And until that changes, I like that more than the unknown. Again, that could be something that changes within the season. That could be something that changes, not that you're going to trade LeBron, but just in terms of the other player that you think is going to be the long-term fit alongside Luka Doncic and Austin Reaves. And that, at least we know, is not LeBron James. Okay, LeBron James is entering year 24 if he decides to return. That is a record. Nobody has ever done so before. So it's not a long-term solution. The player that could be a long-term solution, he's not out there right now as a free agent. He's just not. There's not a guy like that. And I don't think that player is out there as a restricted free agent either, especially because I don't think any of the key restricted free agents are just going to be allowed to leave by their teams. It's been, 5 years since anybody actually was able to do that? I think that's right. I had this up on my laptop earlier, and let me double check right now. Yes. So every single NBA restricted free agent offer sheet signed over the last 5 seasons has been matched. Okay? Teams just don't let, if a team wasn't willing to pay what they thought another team was going to hit in restricted free agency, then they wouldn't let the player go to restricted free agency. It is a tool designed for teams to be able to keep their players. So that's why I at least try not to spend a ton of time on the Kesslers and the Jalen Durans. Sign and trade scenarios, that's a whole nother thing, but that comes later, and I just think that part of it is unlikely. So I get that it's a little bit unsettling to not know what that's going to look like, but it is what it is for right now. All right, we got a short segment coming up to close out Lakers talk after this. My name's Mike Trudell. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight.
4th of July weekend checklist. Sunscreen? Check. Snacks? Check. Road trip playlist? Check. Now, when's the last time you checked your oil? Before you hit the road, head to Valvoline Instant Oil Change for a fast 15-minute stay-in-your-car oil change, and no appointment is ever needed. Plus, they'll check your fluids, battery, wipers, and more, so you can worry less about your car and focus more on the weekend ahead. Visit SoCalOilChange.com for a special offer and your nearest location. Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Quick, easy, and road trip approved.
Los Angeles, your Rams have reloaded, and they're ready to kick off their 2026 campaign. Reigning Defensive Player of the Year Myles Garrett joins reigning MVP Matthew Stafford to lead the Rams into massive matchups against the Bills, Chiefs, Cowboys, Packers, and more. To experience every matchup live and enjoy home playoff ticket access, plus interest-free monthly payment plans and stadium event pre-sale access, visit therams.com/2026. Again, that is therams.com/2026. Get your Rams season tickets today.
This summer's biggest football watch party experience is happening at Mercado Gonzalez in Costa Mesa. Catch every Mexico and USA match live, surrounded by non-stop game day energy, passionate fans, drink specials, surprise giveaways, grab fire asada tacos, slow braised quesadilla, fresh ceviches, warm churros, and more while you cheer on your team with the entire Mercado. Mercado Gonzalez, your soccer fan paradise this summer. Join us every Mexico and USA match at Mercado Gonzalez in Costa Mesa, where every match tastes better.
This is Lakers Talk with Mike Trudell on your home of Lakers basketball, ESPN LA, 710 AM on the all-new ESPN LA app and on YouTube at ESPN Los Angeles.
back to Lakers Talk. Man, so much going on in the NBA today. We tried to hit everything. We went through LeBron and LaMelo and Ja Morant and Marcus Smart and so on and so forth, and also spent some time discussing the World Cup pool that many of us are in. Now, I do want to give one shout-out in this context, and that's the great Pepe Mantilla. So Pepe would have been one of the first choices of people to include in something like this. All right, same thing with Dave Denholm, Mario Ruiz, like the people that actually know soccer in this context. But when we created the pool, we did it on DeMarco and Trav, and I first went to all of the hosts like who have their own shows, obviously Mason Ireland and Cappy Sedano and DeMarco, and then the producers of those shows, and then in DeAndre's case, who's basically like a producer / board op, and we even left out Morales in this context. Bergman, who is in the room, also made the cut there. But that's the only reason, Pepe, that you weren't the first person. Now, I also think that we all would have ended up losing to the great Pepe Mantilla because, again, that man knows ball. Going back to actually, I don't know that he was best friends with Pelé, but he was definitely friendly with Pelé. All right, I've seen pictures of the great Pepe Mantilla and Pelé. I don't know that he would have allowed you to take Brazil, though, DeAndre. He would have found a way to get up in there and steal the Brazilians from you, my man.
Look, man, but the way that you were doing it, drawing it from the hat, it was just destined for me to get Brazil. I fell that late for a reason.
What? Wait, what'd you get him at 4th or 5th?
Yeah, I think it was 4th. Yeah,
I think it was 4th. Yeah, and then Funchy, you got England at 5.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Both good picks. Good picks. I had no critiques. I mean, DeMarco took South Korea right after that, or maybe even before that.
Is that a disappointment for you seeing South Korea and how it went down for them?
I was pulling for them also because my son, one of my twins, Talon, had South Korea as the second team in his pool. So he took Brazil 4th, and then he took South Korea like 26th, I think. And their odds, they were like, what were they, 18th or 19th or something in terms of odds?
Yeah, they were up there.
Yeah, so that was definitely a disappointment. So unfortunate to see South Korea. And by the way, as we're speaking here, Morocco just equalized the Netherlands. And so Laura back in the mix here now. Ireland has the Netherlands, and this game is about to head into extra time, about to head into the 2 15-minute overtime period. So we're doing a little bit of World Cup on top of following everything in the NBA. But is there any last point that you guys wanted to, any last take, all the NBA stuff going on, Lakers or otherwise, you want to get in here in the last minute?
Get a big man. That's all I got to say. Try to get a big man.
Well, DeAndre Ayton, at his money, it does appear that he's going to be back. But I do think that a big man the Lakers absolutely have to get a long-term solution as a big man. It's not somebody right now that I see on the free agency market or the restricted free agency market. So that may have to come in a trade, which, by the way, that's how you get things done in this day and age. All right, well, thanks to everybody for hanging out. Thanks to McMenamin and Golliver, Funchy and DeAndre. My name is Mike Trudell. Always a pleasure hanging out with you guys. We'll see you next time on Lakers Talk.
It's time for your Valvoline Instant Oil Change Summer of Soccer